Hello world, I'm Maya Sundermeyer, and I would like to welcome you to the latest episode of my blog series. So far, I have been able to share my own experiences on what it's like for me to live with Asperger syndrome. A second thing that I will do is give my 2 cents on what's going on with autism in the media. A third area entails providing tips and advice to those of you who are on the autism spectrum, as well as your friends, your mentors, your peers, your advocates, your employers, your professionals, and anybody in the community around you. And I also will cover topics on different things that are not autism related. Now, before I dive into today's topic, I'm going to mention 2 things. Number 1, if you click up here in the upper right-hand corner, you will find a video blog by a woman named Lori, who also has Asperger syndrome like myself. And she gives some advice on 5 things not to tell your child with Asperger syndrome. And a second thing that I would like you guys to do is go to wordpress.com and check out my written blogs under Hello World with Maya Sundermeyer. And you can find those under helloworld240.wordpress.com. That's helloworld240.wordpress.com. And what I would like to do now is give my 2 cents on what's going on with autism in the media. So I'm sure you guys all have now heard the story of the young man who was tased down on the ground by a police officer. And what I want to do first is mention that I read that story, even though I don't have the full details, but I can tell you what I know. So, according to what I read, the mother of the 16-year-old boy and the individual with autism were driving down the road in Burbank, California, when a police officer decided to pull them over because he thought they were speeding. So while they were interacting, the individual with autism started to have a meltdown and a panic attack, and that of course alarmed the officer. So the mom attempted to explain to the officer that her son has autism, and he didn't seem to care or seem to hear her, and he ended up having to pepper spray the individual with autism, as well as tase him down and arrest him and bring him into custody. Unfortunately, because this happened, the young man who's only 16 years old ended up in the hospital with a seizure because he was treated this way. And from the officer's perspective, apparently the boy had assaulted him. And that's often a really red flag. But what I would like to do is give my 2 cents on the matter. So first and foremost, I work at a center where we are constantly interested in training law enforcement officials to deal with individuals with autism. We are training them about meltdowns and about characteristics. We have trained experts out there who are giving talks and training them one-on-one and role-playing with them and helping them. They are teaching them to turn their lights off. If the person on the phone dialing 911 says, well, my son has autism, he's hit me. Because there's some people with autism that don't like bright lights and don't like the sounds of sirens. So that's one thing. So I'm thinking maybe this police officer didn't care because he probably had not gone through the special training, and he may have been taught about autism awareness, but hey, autism awareness is just not enough. I mean, it takes more than awareness. It takes a village, and it takes a lot of education and a lot of patience and a lot of training, and it takes the right people to train these officers on appropriate behavior in learning how to respond to someone having a meltdown or a panic attack. And yes, we have autism awareness, but again, it's not enough. Now, I'm going to speak on behalf of the individual with autism, and I'm going to talk about what possibly happened, even though I don't know. So, I am pretty sure that when the police officer pulled his mom to the side of the road, his routine probably not only got interrupted, but he probably the police officer probably had on the flashing lights, and he probably had on the sirens. And along with the interrupted routine, there were all kinds of overstimulating noises that probably scared him to death. And that's often really, really common. And another reason why he probably hit the officer was because he was probably telling him to go home or go away because he wanted to get home or because he had a certain routine that was broken. And this is really, really common for someone with autism. If you just spring things up on them, they will go into a tailspin. And it's absolutely very common. And so I think that as somebody who's been on the spectrum, I think that we need to start preparing these individuals on the spectrum by having practice runs where the police officers do pull them over to the side, or their parents rather, and practice giving them tickets or practice pulling them over to talk to them so that the individual with autism knows exactly what to expect. So, if you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear from you. Please also do not forget to subscribe to my channel, and also be sure to check out my written blogs as well as my other videos. Until next time, I'm Maya Sendermeyer, and I'm signing off.